Have you ever wondered why certain truths about men and women are ignored, dismissed, or outright condemned? Why are we constantly told that men and women are the same despite the undeniable evidence from nature, history, and human behavior? Schopenhauer didn't shy away from these questions. He faced them with brutal honesty, unafraid to challenge conventional beliefs. He believed that women are guided by instinct rather than reason, that their power lies not in strength or intellect, but in manipulation, beauty, and emotional influence. In his view, love was not a profound connection, but a mere biological trick, a fleeting illusion crafted to serve nature's purpose, not to bring us happiness. And this is just the beginning. His views remain among the most controversial in philosophy, not because they are outdated, but because they force us to confront uncomfortable truths. Schopenhauer argued that happiness itself is not real in the way we imagine. It is neither a destination nor a permanent state of being. Think about it. If everything we believe about love, relationships, and gender is based on illusion, what does that mean for the way men and women interact today? And if Schopenhauer was right, what are the consequences of ignoring these differences? There is more to this than most are willing to admit. Let's uncover it. Few aspects of Schopenhauer's philosophy are as debated, dismissed, and fiercely criticized as his views on women. His writings on the subject were unapologetic, cutting, and, to many, deeply offensive. Yet despite the outrage they continue to provoke, his arguments were not born out of mere resentment. They were rooted in what he perceived as biological and psychological truths. Schopenhauer saw women as being ruled by nature rather than reason. He believed that their emotions, instincts, and desires guided their decisions far more than logic or higher thought. Unlike men, whom he viewed as striving for ambition, philosophy, and intellectual achievement, women in his eyes were content with the immediate and the superficial, focusing on security, social status, and fleeting pleasures rather than grand ideals. These ideas did not arise in isolation. Schopenhauer lived in a time when women were largely excluded from intellectual and professional life, which only reinforced his perception that they lacked an inclination for deep thought. His personal experiences, including a famously strained relationship with his mother and failed romantic pursuits, likely fueled his disdain. But despite the historical context, his core argument was not about social roles. It was about nature itself. Even in today's world, his views remain unsettling. In an era that champions equality, the notion that fundamental differences between men and women extend beyond culture and into the realm of instinct and cognition is widely rejected. Yet Schopenhauer was not concerned with being polite. He aimed to reveal what he saw as reality. Whether one agrees or not, his perspective forces us to ask a provocative question. Are we shaped purely by society, or is there a deeper biological truth we are reluctant to accept? Schopenhauer saw men and women as fundamentally different, not because of culture or education, but because of nature itself. In his view, men are driven by ambition, achievement, and the pursuit of greatness, while women are motivated by instinct, survival, and immediate concerns. These differences are not accidental, but deeply rooted in biological necessity. Men, according to Schopenhauer, are built for creation, competition, and legacy. Their urge to invent, build, and conquer stems from a desire to leave a lasting mark on the world. Whether through intellectual pursuits, warfare, or artistic achievement, men strive to transcend the present, aiming for something greater than themselves. Yet this relentless ambition comes at a cost, a perpetual sense of restlessness, dissatisfaction, and an inability to find peace or simple pleasures. Women, in contrast, prioritize security over conquest and stability over ambition. According to Schopenhauer, their focus is not on reshaping the world, but on navigating it for survival. More closely tied to nature, women are pragmatic in their desires, seeking protection, comfort, and certainty rather than risk, struggle, or ideological pursuits. Because of this, he argued, women often find greater contentment than men, as they do not carry the same existential burdens. This fundamental divide in values shapes everything from relationships to societal structures. Men relentlessly chase power and accomplishment, often at the cost of personal happiness. Women, attuned to survival, wield influence from the shadows, shaping events not through force, but through emotional and social maneuvering. For Schopenhauer, this was not a matter of equality, but of divergent purposes. While men dream of transforming the world, women ensure its continuity. This distinction, whether embraced or disputed, defines the very essence of human interaction. Schopenhauer believed that while men seek power through conquest, intellect, and dominance, women achieve influence in a far more subtle and indirect manner. They do not acquire power through force or direct control, but rather through persuasion, charm, and emotional leverage, tools often more effective than brute strength. Unlike men, who mold the world through innovation and ambition, women, in Schopenhauer's view, shape the world by shaping men. They do not compete in open battle but exert control through suggestion, influence, and carefully constructed illusions. Their strength does not lie in overt authority, but in their ability to guide the decisions of those who hold it. Beauty, in particular, stands out as one of the most potent tools of influence. Schopenhauer regarded it as a transient yet powerful force, an asset that affords women significant advantages in social and romantic contexts. However, beauty alone is insufficient. It must be paired with emotional intuition, the capacity to read others, predict reactions, and manipulate situations to secure desired outcomes. This invisible form of power permeates relationships, family dynamics, and even political affairs. This dynamic extends beyond personal interactions and into the fabric of society itself. Throughout history, while men have openly ruled, women have subtly guided from behind the scenes, shaping kings, molding leaders, and controlling outcomes through well-placed whispers rather than bold declarations. Schopenhauer did not perceive this as weakness, but as a distinct and nuanced form of dominance. Men build empires, but women shape the men who build them. In his perspective, power is not merely about who sits on the throne. It is often about who holds sway over the one seated there. One of the most significant differences between men and women, according to Schopenhauer, is their relationship with time. Men, he argued, are obsessed with the future, relentlessly pursuing long-term goals, chasing legacy, and striving for something greater. Women, however, are more attuned to the present, prioritizing immediate needs and security over abstract ambitions. To Schopenhauer, this distinction was not a fault, but an expression of nature's intent. Women, focused on stability and survival, naturally seek comfort, social harmony, and practical advantages. They are less inclined to risk everything for an uncertain dream or distant reward. Men, on the other hand, often sacrifice comfort, health, and relationships in the quest for greatness. This relentless ambition, though sometimes destructive, is what propels progress, invention, and the shaping of history. This divergence in time perception shapes almost every facet of decision-making. In relationships, Schopenhauer saw women as instinctively drawn to men who offer immediate stability rather than those consumed by future ambitions. In social interactions, he believed women focused on fostering favorable conditions in the present rather than engaging in long-term ideological struggles. Even in personal desires, he saw them as less susceptible to existential crises or lofty philosophical musings. Pursuits, instead of engaging in enduring endeavors, individuals often succumb to what provides immediate gratification. The question therefore arises, should this be regarded as a weakness or perhaps a different form of intelligence? Is it wise to exchange fleeting pleasure for uncertain, distant rewards? And is male ambition a virtue or simply another form of suffering? Schopenhauer did not present a definitive answer. He only noted that men live for what could be, while women master what already is. Schopenhauer viewed love not as a profound, transcendent connection, but as a biological trick, an illusion crafted by nature to ensure reproduction. He believed what we call love is not some spiritual bond or grand destiny, but a calculated, instinctual drive aimed at one purpose: the continuation of the species. In his view, attraction is not about compatibility or personal fulfillment. Instead, it is governed by subconscious biological imperatives. Men are drawn to youth and beauty, not because of romance, but because these traits signal fertility. Women seek strength, status, and security, not out of devotion, but because they offer survival advantages. What appears as emotional connection is, at its core, a programmatic strategy for reproduction and protection. Schopenhauer argued that deception is ingrained within love itself. Both men and women manipulate to achieve their goals. Men feign commitment to gain intimacy, while women use affection to secure stability. These tactics are not often conscious, but they govern relationships, ensuring both parties fulfill their evolutionary roles. The tragic irony is that once love has served its purpose, once attraction has led to reproduction or stability, its intensity diminishes. What was once perceived as eternal proves to be fleeting, and the illusion unravels. Romantic ideals crumble under the weight of cold reason. Love is not selfless, not pure, not eternal. It is a well-constructed trick of nature. Poets and dreamers may write of devotion, but Schopenhauer saw through the veil. Love is not about happiness, it is about biology. Once this is understood, the very foundation of romance collapses under the burden of its own illusion. Schopenhauer regarded women as indispensable to the structure of society, but contended that their influence should remain confined rather than expanded. He argued that because women are driven by emotion, instinct, and immediate concerns, granting them greater sway in shaping laws, politics, or philosophy would weaken societal stability, not strengthen it. In his view, a well-functioning society required order and discipline, values he associated with male governance. Women's priorities, security, comfort, and interpersonal relationships were essential for family life, but ill-suited for leadership in broader social structures. To him, unchecked influence from women would lead to a society that valued emotion over reason, personal gain over long-term vision. But has history proven him right? The modern world has reshaped gender dynamics completely. Women now occupy prominent roles in politics, business, and intellectual discourse. Yet the tensions Schopenhauer warned about remain palpable. The ongoing debate over whether modern society has benefited or suffered from these shifts remains unresolved. Are the increasing emotional and moral appeals in politics a sign of evolution, or do they mark a decline? Has the balance of power between the sexes led to a more just world, or has it ushered in instability disguised as progress? Despite centuries of transformation, certain dynamics remain unchanged. Women continue to exert influence indirectly, shaping cultural trends and social norms. The attitudes in today's world have granted women greater autonomy, but their core instincts, prioritizing security, relationships, and stability, remain steadfast. Schopenhauer's views may seem archaic, but the questions he posed endure. Has society evolved in harmony with human nature, or is it veering away from it? And if so, what are the consequences of ignoring these fundamental differences? Schopenhauer's views on women remain among the most controversial in philosophy, not because they are easily disproven, but because they compel us to confront uncomfortable truths. Modern society insists that gender differences are largely the result of conditioning, yet Schopenhauer argued they are rooted in biology, not social constructs. If this is indeed the case, no amount of cultural reformation can completely erase the inherent distinctions between men and women. The ongoing debate over nature versus nurture continues to divide opinion. Are women innately more focused on security and relationships, or has society conditioned them to be this way? Are men truly driven by ambition and conquest, or have they been shaped to view life as a struggle for dominance? While social norms certainly have an impact, Schopenhauer believed that instinct is stronger than ideology. Ignoring these differences does not eliminate them. It only fosters confusion, resentment, and unrealistic expectations. When men and women are told they should think, act, and desire the same things, frustration follows. Relationships falter, social structures grow unstable, and individuals feel disconnected from their natural inclinations. The push for sameness, Schopenhauer would argue, does not lead to harmony. It breeds misunderstanding. And that is the final uncomfortable truth. Men and women may never fully understand one another. They are driven by different priorities, shaped by distinct instincts, and wired for different forms of power. This does not mean coexistence is impossible. It means that expecting complete alignment is a mistake. Rather than forcing an artificial equality, perhaps the only genuine path forward is to accept the difference, no matter how unsettling that truth may be.